Hello and welcome back to Skypothesis. We are two brothers who are on a quest to keep the magic of Skyrim alive by finding new ways to play the game. And while mods can provide you with fun new experiences, we are drawn to the vanilla and anniversary editions of the game, finding it immensely rewarding to create fun builds with what the game has given us. A lot of you have been asking for a survival mode build, so this week we are excited to present the Cartographer. This build has a special place in my heart. Though we love playing with the game's lesser used mechanics to create super unique builds to spice things up, sometimes there's just nothing like playing the game as a simple Nord Ranger. A shield, a war axe, and a crossbow, augmented by alchemy, is actually my personal favorite way to play the game. I have always been drawn to this playstyle, and it feels so natural in the world of Skyrim. And having a Dawnguard husky companion following you around the wilds of the world just feels so right. This build is a combination of several of my favorite playthroughs throughout the years, and combines roleplay elements that have made the journey across Skyrim pure magic. The Cartographer maps out every inch of the continent, has a goal to unlock every map marker, and is an expert at living off the land and wishes to defend it from dark threats. Armed with his compass shield and a hatchet-like Dawnguard war axe, this Nord is prepared for it all. So without further ado, let's jump into the backstory of the Cartographer. The Cartographer was born under the vast skies of Skyrim, amidst the rugged cliffs and deep snowy forests of the Pale. His family had long held the title of mapmakers, stewards of an ancient tradition, passed down through the generations. His father, Bjorn the Bear, was not just a cartographer, but a true survivalist, a towering figure with arms like tree trunks and a fierce reputation. He knew the land like the back of his hand, and his knowledge of geography extended beyond the north into lands most people would never dare travel. From a young age, the Cartographer learned how to read the stars, navigate by the winds, and recognize landmarks hidden beneath mist or snow. His father's lessons were simple but profound: survival, resilience, and the importance of understanding the land you walk on. As the years passed, the Cartographer grew into a man, but so did the weight of his father's age. When Bjorn finally passed, the familiar mountains and wide skies of Skyrim began to feel too heavy with memories. Unable to remain in the land that daily reminded him of his father, the Cartographer set out for the south, carrying with him his father's wisdom and love of the wilds. In Hammerfell, he worked for trading guilds, revising ancient maps and charting deserts that were both merciless and beautiful. His knowledge of the land's subtle changes, dried-up riverbeds and shifting dunes, made him invaluable to merchants. His hulking, bear-like figure ensured that no one would dare challenge his work or his presence. His journey eventually took him through Cyrodiil to Valenwood, where he ventured through the dense jungles and mapped paths that had eluded others outside of certain tribes of Bosmer and Wood Orcs. The Cartographer embraced the challenge, but his mind was always drawn back to Skyrim. The lush forests and vibrant lands of Valenwood could not ease the homesickness that gnawed at him. No matter where he went, a part of him always yearned for the mountains of home. Word of a war and growing vampire threat in Skyrim reached him. It was enough to stir a deep, aching need to return. The land, his father's teachings, and the duty to protect what he had once called home called him back. With his mind and axe sharper than ever, the Cartographer returned to Skyrim, ready not only to chart the changing landscape, but to fight for it. The vampires, the war, and the shifting politics of his homeland would test him, but the wisdom of his father and the land he had once left behind would guide him through the darkness. The Cartographer was on the fence about the Civil War until his return to Skyrim. Having been well-traveled, he saw firsthand the good that the Empire can do for the world, but he also sees its weakness and the limitations of a central governing power stretching its hand too far, weakening itself. His Talos-worshipping spirit is pained to see his brothers and sisters die for their faith. He does not revere Ulfric Stormcloak like so many others of his kinsmen, but he does join Ralof after the events of Helgen and promises to join the fight when he can. And most importantly, when departing Helgen, enables survival mode. Now the wilds of the world must be respected, fast travel is disabled, and your journey in Skyrim begins. It has been decades since the Cartographer has returned to his homeland, so no one recognizes him and he feels a bit of a stranger in his own home. But one thing that never changes is the unyielding power of the wind, the rocks, the rivers, and the trees. This is a survival mode build, which functions a bit differently than our usual builds. The Cartographer himself will guide you through how he survives in the wilds. The following is an excerpt from his journal, and contains his wisdom in how to survive Skyrim's harsh climate, containing a few tips and tricks to help you in survival mode. 17th of Last Seed. The land itself is my map, my teacher, my muse. This journal serves to guide those who would tread the paths I've carved across Skyrim's wilds. May it help you endure, survive, and perhaps even thrive. If these pages ever find themselves in another's hands, may they bear you home safe, stronger, and wiser. 28th of Last Seed. My father taught me that preparation is the difference between standing tall in victory or laying low in the frost. Skyrim's bitter embrace doesn't forgive overconfident fools. Pack layers of fur or wolf hide to guard against the pale's biting winds. Though I much prefer the protection of my heavy armor, I am sure to carry a set of fur armor when I travel north. It keeps me warm when I need it most. Salted meats and vegetable soup keep you warm and fed. There's nothing like a hot meal to rouse your spirits and your strength. My favorite recipe is hot potato soup. Just add some fire salts to your potatoes over a fire. Let the cold wind howl all at once. It will keep your belly warm. The 3rd of Hearthfire. Axes aren't just for splitting heads. My woodcutter's axe stays in my pack at all times, and it's earned its place more than once. I keep it apart from my war axe, which thirsts only for combat. You'll lose an edge quickly chopping wood for your fire with the wrong tool. Such mistakes leave men frozen or killed. 14th of Hearthfire. When speed is of the utmost, I use a steed. You can buy a horse, true, but there's strength in earning your bond. I tamed a black mare once, wild and defiant in the steppes near Falkreath. She reminds me of the land, unyielding, but willing to guide those bold enough to embrace her spirit. 28th of Hearthfire. Not every journey ends before sundown, and not every path offers safe respite. My camps are havens in the wild. Seek shelter from the wind's howl, cliffs or dense thickets can suffice. And when fatigue clouds the mind, a night's proper rest cures it quicker than any draught. For weariness robs even the strongest warrior of his aim and focus. I always carry a few extra camping supplies in my pack, for once they have been used, they are lost. Luckily, chopped wood and leather are easy to come by in the wilds. The wildlife bows to my crossbow. The 8th of Frostfall. My journeys as Dragonborn have taken me up the 7,000 steps more than I would wish upon anyone, and the throat of the world presents a challenge to even the greatest survivalist. I prepare with care. Parthenax, long-winded as he may be, is worth the wait. Between his stories I kindle a fire, warm my food, and stave off the mountain's glacial reach until his next word of wisdom takes root. Remember this. Always respect the time required for profound truths, even if it makes you linger longer than you'd prefer. From the Greybeards I learned the shout clear skies, which is invaluable in my travels. A snowstorm that could have ended with frostbite and even death can turn to a sunny day, even on the shores of the Sea of Ghosts. 17th of Frostfall. Wolves, saber-cats, bears. They carry the scourge of Periite in their claws. Vile diseases that could take my life if I am not careful. Worse still, sanguinaire vampiris. My father's lesson was simple. Never walk without a cure. I carry potions of cure disease at all times, brewed myself with vampire dust and mud crab chitin, boiled into a swift, potent remedy. Though difficult to hunt, I keep my eyes peeled for hawks, as their feathers can cure any disease as well. Any fool relying on shrines alone is bound to meet an early grave when he strays too far from civilization. 1st of Sun's Dusk. Skyrim is a land of fire as much as it is a land of frost. I carry a torch in my pack at all times to stave off the cold when I need it most. And I always keep an eye out for fire salts for seasoning my meals. You've never truly lived until you've eaten flame-kissed stew on a frozen mountain. Fire salts sear the meat within the stew, a blessing when facing Skyrim's most unforgiving nights. Hot potato soup may be my favorite for sheer simplicity in ingredients, but there's no shortage to culinary creations I can craft when the time is right. Hot venison stew with a leek, potato, and venison. Hot roasted tomato crab bisque with tomato, butter, and crab meat. Perhaps someday I will meet the gourmet. He could learn a thing or two from me. In my father's words, a warm man thinks more clearly, a clear mind stays alive. My father swore by salted meats, but I have learned the wonder of a simple stew. Each sip staves off the creeping chill of Skyrim better than the finest meads. 7th of Sun's Dusk. Casting a line into Skyrim's streams is a patient game, yet once or twice I found myself shadowed by a strange fisherman, masked with a fish's skull, silent as a tomb. Whether he's a specter or a man living mad on the water's bounty, I've dared not confront him. Skyrim's strange corners often yield more mystery than clarity. 14th of Sun's Dusk. Skyrim's wilds may feel solitary, but even the hardest hearts find strength in family. My travels are long, but my heart has grown to anchor itself back home to my tundra homestead. Adopting my dear son Hroar and my dear daughter Sophie gave me more than heirs. They give me laughter after long days of strife. When the road feels endless and the dangers too dark to face, I remind myself of their small voices calling me home. 21st of Sun's Dusk. My dear love Sylgia shares my burden. Nights spent under one roof with them after a journey far and wide melt away the frost on my soul. By morning I wake stronger, readier to face whatever Skyrim throws my way. We have built a great life for ourselves in the tundra homestead outside of Whiterun. After long travels I spend my nights there, poring over my maps and charting out my findings. Creating potions from ingredients across the realm to sell in the market. Yes, I have grown to love my home. There is nothing else quite like it. 1st of Evening Star. My father always said the map's not the treasure, it's the key. So too are these entries, only the beginning of your story. You'll walk roads I've mapped, fish rivers I've cast into, and find warmth where I've camped. But remember, your journey is your own. The Cartographer is a survivalist at heart, and much of the reward of gameplay comes from simply traveling across the world from quest marker to quest marker, cooking food, camping, and staying warm and alive. But that gameplay loop is certainly only a means to an end. He takes his responsibility as Dragonborn seriously and prioritizes the main quest and Dawnguard. After informing Jarl Balgruf of the dragon attack and receiving the direction to delve into Bleakfall's Barrow, the Cartographer makes 2 detours. He reads a letter in the Drunken Huntsman about a battle of champions of the Civil War, and hopes that by aiding the Stormcloak champion, he could put an end to the war more quickly. His second detour is to Fort Dawnguard, which he heard whispers of on the road to Skyrim. He knew that there he could join up and receive vampire-slaying armaments that can aid him in his journey. Complete these early quests until you are fully kitted out in your gear, receiving a crossbow and war axe from Fort Dawnguard, your armor from Gunmar, and the Stormbear helmet from the chest in Ulfric's war room. At that point, he is ready to delve into Bleakfalls to retrieve this Dragonstone and continue the main quest. He completes the main quest and Dawnguard questlines in tandem, completing tasks dependent on proximity. In survival mode, you have to actually think about your position in the map because you cannot fast travel. Interweaving these quests feels awesome, moving from Vampire Crypt to Nordic Tomb, hunting down Elder Scrolls, slaying the undead, and banishing dragons. You truly feel like Skyrim's ultimate hero. One of our favorite parts of this build is having a Dawnguard Husky companion, a faithful pupper that will always be by your side through all your journeys in the wild and fight against deadly forces. Bran and Seolong are protected, meaning that they will only die if finished off with friendly fire, meaning keep him far away from Serana during quests where she must join you. The Black Book ability Companion's Insight will ensure you won't accidentally kill your doggo, but that's more of a late game ability. He will also join the companions, but we didn't prioritize their questline. If you choose to complete it, be sure to cure his lycanthropy. He is much more of a kindred spirit with Kodlak than Aella. Though Starfield has its weaknesses, one aspect of the game we loved was role-playing as a surveyor who sells the planetary data they collect. We wanted to find a way to roleplay that in Skyrim as the Cartographer, as his background includes traveling through difficult terrain and updating maps for merchants and local guilds. Since he is proficient in living off the land with alchemy, we found a lot of enjoyment in creating hold-based potions that we roleplay as survey data. Unique potions made from ingredients found in a hold, then selling these potions to vendors as information about the hold's flora, fauna, and topography. We imagine that his intimate knowledge of the land is imparted as he sells these potions, and it provided a fun way for us to enjoy the long treks made with the lack of fast travel. These unique brews are as follows. In the Pale, the Cartographer makes Frostbite Fortitude, blending snowberries, thistle branches, and purple mountain flowers. These ingredients, harvested from the hold's frostbitten wilderness, create a potion that enhances stamina and frost resistance, essential for surviving the biting cold of the northern expanse. In the craggy terrain of the Reach, the Cartographer gathers juniper berries, canis root, and rock warbler egg to craft Mountain Bloom Mead. This mead provides a boost to marksmanship and one-handed, offering adventurers a fighting chance in the dangers hidden within its jagged cliffs. It does, however, weaken stamina a bit, which makes sense for a delicious mead with juniper berries mixed in. In Whiterun Hold, the Cartographer crafts Plains Mage's Elixir using tundra cotton, lavender, and blue butterfly wing. Gathered from the vast plains, these ingredients create a potion that bolsters conjuration and magic resistance, aiding his summoning of the Pride of Herstang. Pine Nectar is crafted by the Cartographer in Falkreath's dense forests. Hanging moss and canis root are key to this concoction, perfect for strengthening against dangers hidden beneath the hold's leafy canopy, including the wild predators that call the region home. He brews Marsh Storm tonic in the murky wetlands of Hjalmarch using Pearl, Swamp Fungal Pod, and Eye of Sabercat. This triple effect potion resists shock, restores health and stamina, Nords in previous Elder Scrolls games resist both frost and shock, suggesting that they are more in touch with the sky. Along the rugged coasts of Hofengar, the Cartographer creates Drakeclaw Draft with Beehive Husk, Snowberries, and Mudcrab Chitin. This potion is designed to endure fire and poison from dragons and demons in this northern hold. The Cartographer uses the volcanic terrain of Eastmarch to his advantage by crafting Hot Springs Remedy, combining Giant's Toe, Creep Cluster, and Blue Mountain Flower, creates a potion of Fortify Health and Fortify Carry Weight, mirroring the restorative nature of the bubbling hot springs. The Cartographer's creation for the Rift combines bees, honeycomb, and more tapenella. This invigorating potion is concocted from the vibrant warmth of the golden forests that dominate the hold. In Winterhold's icy tundra, the Cartographer collects snowberries, thistle branches, and ice wraith teeth to craft Arctic wisps. This chilling potion enhances heavy armor and frost resistance, crucial for enduring the desolation and mystical forces of Skyrim's northernmost hold. We encourage you to experiment with ingredients in each hold to make your own survey concoctions and sell them for coin. This part of the roleplay made us really feel like a cartographer who excels at surveying the land and imparting his knowledge to others for coin. Though he camps wherever is needed when cold or in need of rest in the wilds, he does have a few favorite campsites which we will name in detail here. Atronach Springs is an idyllic, warm campsite with access to hot springs and a great view of Eastmarch, located just below the Atronach Stone. Golden View is a lakeside campsite surrounded by golden autumnal trees, with a view of the lake and Golden Glow Estate in the distance, just a bit south of Heartwood Mill. Lake Ilinalta Overlook is our favorite view of the lake, surrounded by greenery and an amphitheater of distant, jagged peaks. The Wordwall Alcove is a necessary place to camp during the main quest, for conversing with Parthenax is a lengthy endeavor and one is likely to freeze to death without a warm fire. The alcove blocks the howling winds. Finally, when in the Pale, he returns to his childhood home, an unmarked burned-down cabin north of the Pale Stormcloak camp. It is here where he grew up, and though the memories of his father pain him, sometimes they are a comfort, and he feels his love in the Aurora. His one and only spell is the Pride of Herstang, which we roleplay to be the spirit of his father appearing from Sovngarde in the form of a bear to aid him in battle. This is an expert level spell and costs 287 magicka, but with the expert conjuration perk this is halved, and the floor is further lowered when wearing enchanted jewelry that fortifies magicka. This bear lasts for 60 seconds and grants you increased health regeneration, invaluable in survival mode, and resist frost. Since he's a Nord, this makes him functionally immune to all frost damage while the bear is active. It is the ultimate companion to fight by the side of the Cartographer and his dog. For shouts, he will make the most frequent use of Clear Skies. This shout can mean the difference between life or death when a snowstorm hits. He will also use Animal Allegiance, Kind's Peace, Elemental Fury, and Stormcall, which represents the Nords being in touch with the sky like in the previous Elder Scrolls games. Now let's discuss creating the character. The Cartographer's signature look comes from his Pale Guard shield, which we call the Compass Shield. It just looks right for a survivalist map-making Nord, like he is part of an order of warrior map-makers. Unfortunately, the only way to get it is off of a dead Pale Guard, so either wait for a dragon attack or just lure one outside of town and kill them during a quick roleplay break. Or perhaps you can imagine that that particular guard was a childhood enemy or an Imperial spy perhaps. Whatever method, the look only really comes together after getting the shield, so do it right off the bat. He also wields the Dawnguard War Axe, which is found lying around the battlements of Fort Dawnguard, and chose it for its aesthetic, as it looks like a survivalist's hatchet, and again, War Axe, Shield, and Crossbow is my absolute favorite playstyle. For his crossbow, any will do, but we love the look of the Nordic crossbow. With higher smithing you can craft an enhanced version, but we just stuck with the base version in our playthrough. Fletcher sells them at higher levels, but he also has one sitting in his display case if you're feeling like a bit of thievery. We call his armor combination Compass Armor, which is heavy and makes him look like the hulking bear wildsman he is. He wears the Storm Bear helmet from the Clash of Champions creation, Dawnguard heavy armor, and iron plate boots and gauntlets, which come as an enchanted variant at the end of the quest Brothers in Irons, which came with Fortify one-handed by 25% and Fortify carry weight by 35% respectively. He wears the Dark Fur backpack with bedroll, which increases carrying capacity by 75%. The other variants of the backpacks are functionally superior with their additional enchantments, but we liked the basic look of the Dark Fur. For auxiliary gear, he wears the Galder Amulet and the Mentor's Ring. The Mentor's Ring makes spells 10% less to cast, lowering the cost for the Pride of Herstang. We like to roleplay that it was his father's ring and grants him the power needed to summon him in battle. Since Pride of Herstang costs 144 magicka after taking the Expert Conjuration perk, you can use it without putting any levels into magicka with the combination of these two jewelry pieces. We leveled him with a ratio of 2 in health for every 1 in stamina. For the Standing Stone, it is a tough choice between the Steed Stone and the Lady Stone, but we ended up going with the Lady Stone for increased regeneration, so that despite the fact that survival mode removes your base regeneration, you get it back. The Steed Stone is great for the weightless armor and carrying capacity, but we didn't need it once we got the heavy armor perk unhindered. And finally, the Cartographer is a Nord because of his backstory and their base resistance to the cold. By the time you reach level 40, you'll want the following perks. In One-Handed, take all 5 in Armsman, Fighting Stance, and Savage Strike. In Archery, take all 5 in Overdraw, Eagle Eye, and 1 in Steady Hand. In Block, take 2 in Shield Wall, Deflect Arrows, Elemental Protection, and Block Runner. In Heavy Armor, we will be placing 3 perks in Juggernaut, then perking the rest of the tree. In Smithing, take Steel Smithing and Arcane Blacksmith to upgrade the damage on his Dawnguard War Axe. In Alchemy, we will be taking 3 in Alchemist, Physician, and Benefactor. Finally, in Conjuration, take the Novice through Expert perks so you can summon the Pride of Herstang. If you plan to play past level 40, we would certainly recommend filling out the Alchemy tree, along with taking a few more perks in Block. And additional perks and greater powers you'll want to seek out are Companion's Insight, which will protect your Husky, Turn of the Seasons, which increases heavy armor rating by 10% when snowing, and 10% better prices when it's raining, Seeker of Might, for 10% more effective combat skills and smithing to hone a finer-edged hatchet, Bones of the Earth, to ignore 80% of physical damage for 30 seconds, and North Wind for an explosion of northern ice magic. Alright, moving on to our favorite part of every build, the special moves. The Cartographer features some special moves that are a bit different than our standard combat-focused moves, that instead focus on his survival. His first special move is Kyne's Stasis, which combines Kyne's Peace and Ozidal's Boots of Water Walking. With this move, you calm not only nearby animals, but the very waters themselves, temporarily solidifying them so that you can walk across without freezing to death. Remove the boots when you are done casting this spell. Next up, we have Repel Frostbite, which is a combination of hot soup, a full set of armor, camping supplies for a fire, and clear skies if applicable. When absolutely freezing, the Cartographer dons a set of warm furs, sets up camp, eats a bowl of hot soup, and uses the Thume to end the storm until he is warm enough to continue his travels. Finally, we have Father of the Pale, which combines North Wind with Pride of Herstang and Companion's Insight. The Cartographer channels the spirit of his father back to Skyrim to fight for him and grant healing and frost resistance. He bursts forth from Sovngarde with a mighty frost storm, while Companion's Insight protects your Husky from the mighty winds. Well, another month of 2025 has come and gone, and with it, another build video. We hope you enjoy playing as the Cartographer as much as we have. Survival mode is a totally different beast than standard Skyrim, and opting for a more functionally simple character makes for a more grounded playthrough in our opinion. Let us know in the comments below what other tips and tricks you use to survive in Skyrim's frigid wilds. A reminder to check out the links in the description to our Discord server and merch shop, which now contains embroidered hats by popular demand. We just got a few and we're super stoked about them. Shout out as always to Vinsvept for his amazing composition, Shimmering in the Shallows, which we linked in the description. Be sure to head over to his channel and show him some love if you haven't already. And of course, would like to thank you for supporting us by watching our channel. Remember, this year we're posting every week, a brand new build on the first Friday of every month, and recap shorts on the weeks in between. So be sure to like and subscribe to help keep the magic of Skyrim alive. We'll see you next time, right here on Skypothesis.